Hi again, everyone. Welcome into UnAnchored Boston with Mike. Better start that again because I am Mike Lynch. Hi again, everyone. Welcome into UnAnchored Boston with Bob Lobel and Mike Lynch. And as always, we are brought to you by Cold Springs RV, your destination for all things camping. And where? We're in New Hampshire, of course. And by the great George Gray, the big wheel we call him at George Gray's Lexington Toyota 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. Well, we should have a fun session today. We've got Bill Chuck with us there, and he's a chuckles of laughs and chuckles of information. And Bob Lobel, handle the formal introduction. Take it away.
Well, thanks, and welcome to Bill. Been following him for a long time. He's one of the most unique individuals that I've ever had a chance to meet, and he wrote a book with Bob Ryan, and here it is. It's called In Scoring Position, and I bought it because I thought it had to do with dating, but it obviously.
And I'm one of the more unique people you've met, huh?
Well, it's just a
fabulous life you lead, Bill.
Okay, Mike, calm down. All right, I'm supposed to handle this introduction. He's currently ensconced in Brookline. He was born in Manhattan. He went to American University. Majored in psychology, and he currently runs he worked for Charlie Steiner, who was a broadcaster of the Dodgers and was involved in the Chicago Sun-Times at one time, writing a column. He appeared in Nick Cafardo's, the late great Nick Cafardo's column. Many a weekend at the bottom of the show was a Bill Chuck Files, and he authors one of the most unique websites or Substack. I don't know how else you describe it.
A column. It's a column.
It is a column. It's a column on unique and crazy baseball statistics, and it applies. Well, let's take one thing other than the Giannis trade last night, which is very disappointing to everybody, including myself, and Mike and I both agree they're going to have to trade Jaylen Brown at some point, but that's beside the point. Last night, the Red Sox had a very unique thing happen to them, as disastrous as it was. Talk about a Rocky Mountain low. Last night, they had a walk-off triple. They were beaten by a walk-off triple. Now, Bill Chuck's email is walkoffs.gmail.com, and I'm not trying to give away anything, but that's his walk-offs. So a walk-off triple, think about that. I have never seen a walk-off triple before, and it's one of the reasons you go to a baseball game, because you see things you never see before. But how can you get beaten by a walk-off triple? And I don't even know the last time it happened.
I do.
I know you do. That's why I brought this up.
Yes. So here's a couple of things. First of all, I'm no longer in Brookline, Mass. I'm in the Sleepy Hollow, New York, which you've heard of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. And the headless horseman. I'm the hairless horseman of Sleepy Hollow, and I've been here now for 10 years, and I still keep track of everything Boston related because, as you pointed out, my relationship with you and with Lynchy, and of course Nick was an important part of my life. He still his memory still enables him to be my muse, and I still share things with Dan Shaughnessy, the curly-haired, and you can finish the sentence if you so choose. And this is a day I knew as soon as I saw the deal for Giannis last night. I said, "Boy, I bet you Lobie and Lynchy really wish that they had booked Ryan instead of me today." But listen, so fortunately, there was a walk-off triple last night. Unfortunately for the Red Sox, it was against the Red Sox. And here's the deal: it's the first walk.
Bill, by one of the worst teams in baseball.
Oh no, not one of the worst team, the worst team in baseball. And the the Sox, literally the Sox are now tied for the fewest the fewest wins in baseball with the Colorado Rockies and the San Francisco Giants, and which. But we'll get back to that in just a moment. You want to talk about walk-off triples? This is the first walk-off triple of the season in baseball, but there were 3 walk-off triples last year. Now, of course, Ceddanne Raphael had one of them, which meant that the Red Sox were happy when he hit a walk-off triple. The other 2, which I found interesting, were by Mickey Moniak, who plays for the Colorado Rockies, and the other by Jesus Sanchez of the Marlins. But to me, what made it interesting that both of them were off the same pitcher, Daniel Palencia of the Cubs. Now, come on, how frequently can something like that happen? 3 walk-off triples involving the Red Sox, involving Daniel Palencia. And as I'm starting to write this morning, I'm writing about the fact that do you remember the movie A Beautiful Mind with the great Russell Crowe and the beautiful Jennifer Connelly? It was about the mathematician who was schizophrenic. He won the Nobel Prize. He's losing his mind, and he was schizophrenic and seeing all in his paranoia, seeing all these connections between things. And I'm looking at this at the walk-off triple, and I'm looking at all the games that were decided by 2 runs last night in the games, and I'm saying, oh my God, I'm going down that route. I'm absolutely losing my mind. Fortunately, there are other people who see it that way, so I'm not totally insane. But the Red Sox, and I looked this up to make sure that I have this. The Red Sox are now 31-45. The Giants are now 31-46. The Rockies are now 31-49. The Rockies have a 31-48. I'm sorry. The Rockies have a 392 winning percentage, which is the lowest in baseball. The Giants have a 403 losing percentage. The Red Sox have a 408. The Red Sox do not have the worst winning percentage in baseball. That belongs to the Angels, who are 32-48. They have a 400 winning percentage. But it seems to me that either the Rockies or the Angels should probably get Rafael Devers now, because the other 2 teams who had them or who have him have suffered enough. It's their turn now to have them. But that's my walk-off triples combination and these horrible teams. It's amazing to me how the Red Sox find new and different ways to lose. But they do.
I have not watched a complete 9-inning game this year. I just cannot. I cannot sit for 9 innings and watch the Red Sox. That's pretty sad. Somebody who grew up here, went to his first game in 1960 when I was 7 years old, and lived and died with the Red Sox. I just cannot stomach it for 9 innings. How does the casual fan feel?
First of all, besides the fact that they lose a lot, 1960, 66 years of watching this team. Have you ever remembered a duller team than this season's Red Sox? And to me, that's the great shame of this. And I don't think first of all, the casual fan may drop in. I happen to have dropped in to the game last night. I saw 8 pitches of the game last night. They were the 8 pitches that Aroldis Chapman threw last night. I'm more of a national writer now, and of course I follow everything related to the Dodgers because I'm still working for Charlie Steiner, who does some Dodgers play-by-play and Dodgers pre-game show, and we've got the Rockies coming up on the schedule at some point. But my point is, I look for close games, so I switched on. Saw the Red Sox winning 2-0, going to the bottom of the ninth. What the heck? Watch them, right? 8 pitches. And the final 4 hits of the game completed a string, and this is unbelievable, and I haven't done all my research yet, but the final 8 hits of the game were hits by the Rockies. It was only poor base running by the Rockies that cost them the game. But it's the dullness. It's the dullness. I check in order to support, I don't know, the dullness and the casual fan aspect of it. And there are only 2 Red Sox who are in the top 10 of voting at any all-star positions. And that to me is a good way to check how the casual fans are paying attention. Wilson Contreras is 6th among AL first basemen, and Wilyer Abreu is 12th among AL outfielders. They're the only ones who have any votes of confidence. So no casual fans are watching. No Red Sox fans are watching or voting because there's who are you going to vote for?
Yeah, what are you going to do? An infield of Marcellus Meyer at short, Montesterio at second, and Caleb Durbin at third. This was not exactly a Tinkers to Evers chance here.
No, and the reality is that if you look at the final, the triple last night, I don't know whether you saw it, but the triple, it was a ground ball down the third baseline. It was a ground ball. It wasn't like it was in the gap in a triples alley. It was a ground ball down the third baseline. And then Jaron Duran in left field play past Durbin at third, and Duran in the outfield played it as if the ball was radioactive. I mean, he did everything he can to stay away from it. Now, I'm going to tell you something good about the Red Sox. The reality is that they've got 2 outfielders, Rafaela and Abreu, who lead all outfielders and outfielders assists. They've done a very good job playing defense in that outfield. But, you know, you need complete ball players. And this is where I think Breslow is just totally unclear on the concept.
This is my next question, and I'll ask Lynchy both the same question. How much longer can Breslow last? I mean, he is obviously the architect of this disaster, and Chaim Bloom, with the exception, they really haven't had a whole lot since Dave Dombrowski was sitting in that office. So I would ask you guys, how long can Breslow last? Because clearly somebody's got to step up and take the hit for what's out there on the field.
Lynchy, what do you say? And then I'll chime in.
Well, first of all, he's a Yale guy, so I really don't care what happens to him. Second of all, there's nothing worse than apathy. You know, you can be angry with the team, you can be elated over the team, but you have some emotion, be it high or be it low. This is a straight line. This is, and there's nothing worse than apathy. That being said, they still put fannies in the seats at Fenway Park. They make money hand over fist, and as long as that's happening, there won't be any discord in that front office.
I'm going to agree with everything that you said, with, of course, some Bill Chuck caveats as opposed to Dick caveats. Here's I want to first address the fannies in the seats. The fannies in the seats are more and more becoming tourists.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I'm
Thank
sure.
God for the World Cup, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly. Look at Scotland coming in to take over the ballpark. Fenway Park now is like going to see Paul Revere's statues,
Yep.
going to see
They don't move any faster than Paul Revere's players on the field.
yeah. I mean, this is no longer they're coming to sing along with Neil Diamond. But this is not for the serious fan anymore. And I want to back that up for a very specific reason. Because you asked how long will Breslow last? My feeling is he will last the season. My feeling is that he will be judged on in many ways when the decision is made on what he does at this trade deadline, because this will determine in some respects what the future of this ball club is. And it also brings up to me the feeling is, do serious fans, and this is a legitimate question, do serious fans really think that the Red Sox have a chance to make the postseason? I ask that because I want to relate it to the trading deadline and relate it to Aroldis Chapman.
My question,
One of the things,
Bill, that's exactly what I'm going to bring up. I'm saying, does Aroldis Chapman have a no trade contract, or is the fact is he's the biggest piece that they have to trade? Anybody would love a closer like that, but he didn't do himself any favors last night.
or in the game before, but again, that really wasn't Chapman's fault. Remember, there was the windblown fly ball off the monster after the windblown foul pop up that Wong couldn't catch, after Durbin didn't support his his catcher in the wind because he just, I don't know what he was doing, just watching the play.
Aroldis Chapman the biggest piece that they have to trade, because Will Contreras certainly isn't right now.
No, yes, I would say he's a huge piece. Sonny Gray is a huge piece to trade as well. He's a starting pitcher who has done well in his role. He's not a 1, he's not a 2, he's a 3. But to get a third starter to support your team, it'll be a good 5th starter. It'll be a good 6th starter for a contending team. It'll be a good guy to fill in when one of your starters get injured.
Is that more important than a closer?
I'm not sure. I think they both have value depending on the team's particular needs. They both have value. And the reason why I tie all of this together is that the serious fan at this point, the serious Red Sox fan, has already accepted the reality that this is not a postseason club. I mean, the Red Sox will be happy if they rally to get out of last place, which I don't think they will, but that's irrelevant. One of the reasons why top teams do not like to trade players like Chapman and Gray at early is because it admits to their fans that they do not have postseason aspirations. But if you accept the fact that they don't have postseason aspirations, it seems to me that the earlier that you trade Chapman and Gray, the greater the value is, because if a team can get Chapman for an additional month, remember at the All-Star break, there's 3 weeks to go. Following before the trade deadline. The trade deadline isn't until August 3rd this year. You want to get Chapman into your bullpen as soon as possible. So perhaps they can get more for him. You can get another 2 or 3 starts out of Sonny Gray if you have him in early July. My feeling is that they probably will not trade him before the draft. But I would say if I'm Breslow, if I'm the Red Sox, I announce to his compatriots in the presidents of baseball operations, or as we always knew them as GMs, saying these guys are available. Make your best offer because I will accept the best offer, and create a sense of urgency. Create the trade deadline for yourself and say, this is when I will deal these guys. I think that there was a very significant piece of news from Bob Nightingale, who said that all of a sudden the Red Sox are now sending out major league scouts to teams, which of course Theo said on a podcast not too long ago. He's upset that the Sox stopped using major league scouts. Well, we now have them scouting, and why are they scouting? Well, I think that one of the reasons, and remember, this also coincides with the announcements that we heard that the Red Sox are willing to take on money for a right-handed slugger or right-handed hitter of any sort. I think that the Red Sox need to start building now for 27 and beyond. They are willing to not just accept prospects and not just accept players who will be free agents in 27, but players who have contracts into 27, which is a big deal for teams. There are loads of teams who would like to get rid of a player who will be a free agent in 28. So with the scouts out there looking, with Chapman and Gray on the block, with they're willing to take on money, and the reason why I don't think they will take Contreras is before the start of the season they needed another bat. You trade Contreras now, and then you need another bat again at the end of this season. What's the point? Contreras is lease signed for next season.
Let me ask, that's great point, great information. But let me ask both you and Lynchy, and I'll start with Mike about the John Henry effect. And more than an effect, it's the control. And I know you're saying that you're talking about building for 2027 and 28, but does it really matter? Are you really building, or are you just really looking for more of the same? I mean, this is the John Henry effect. That if we were really building, we'd be really trying to build. But are we really trying to build? Are we just trying to, build a half building instead of the whole thing? Mike, what do you think?
Well, I don't think it affects the players on the current roster as much as it affects who would want to come here as a free agent, who would want to be traded here, as opposed to some other team that shows that they are a contender. The Phillies are in last place. I mean, the Red Sox fired their manager, did the same thing. But I would think that Philadelphia is a much more desirable place to go than a place like Boston right now. And maybe some of the guys that are here want to get the heck out of here, especially if they don't see, like this has been going on since the beginning of time, when ownership shows that they care as much as you do or the fans do, then good things might happen. And I don't think that the players I know the fans don't feel that John Henry's done anything to help this team. And I'm wondering, has it trickled down into the clubhouse?
I think going back to one point that Lynchy made before about the casual fan not coming to the ballpark, not caring, I think that that's going to be reflected in the NESN numbers. And that's something that they care a lot about.
They do, yep.
And as fans start turning off and watching anything else, that's going to have an effect on management. The
And
other go
Antiques
ahead.
Roadshow is a better take than the Red Sox these days.
World Cup.
World Cup.
Well, yeah, and other games. I mean, first of all, there are games everywhere now. I mean, that's one of the negatives about all the different streaming channels, but it's also one of the positives. It gives alternatives. I mean, you'd rather see most any other team play than the Red Sox. So, I mean, there's that issue. But in order to do what both of you are saying, you still need the proper architect in order to make the proper decisions. And going back to also, Mike, or something that you pointed out about how the Phillies and the Red Sox fired their managers at the same time. A big difference is that the architect, and you mentioned Dombrowski earlier. Dombrowski fired Rob,
Thompson.
yes, Thompson, at the same time that Alex Cora was fired. The difference is that the timing was dictated by the fact that the Phillies had 11 week games coming up. 11 week games on the schedule. And by the way, that included the Rockies. But that meant whomever that Dombrowski chose to take over. And number one, he was hoping for Alex Cora. But when the general manager's son, young Mr. Mattingly, chose his dad to take over, his Donnie Baseball had a chance to get that team off on a good start, which they did. They were 9-2 in the next 11 games because they were playing weak teams. The Cora firing at that time made no sense. I still don't understand it. There must be an explanation for it. It's over my head. I'm very short, so there's a lot over my head. But
don't you think it's like a power struggle between Breslow and Cora? I mean, don't you think they're odds and Cora hated him and wanted his job? And
but why then? Why then? What was it to prove? And so the Phillies make the move. The team gets off on a great start, and they look good, and they're going to make the postseason. The Red Sox make this move, and it just gets worse.
Here's what I tell you. I'll tell you why then. Here's what I've heard about why then. There was a situation in the clubhouse when they were talking. Two guys were talking to Roman Anthony at the time. You remember Roman Anthony? He used to play. There were two guys talking to Roman Anthony about the drive line coaches were talking to Roman Anthony, and Cora saw them talking to Roman Anthony. And he went over to them and told them, I'm just telling you, this is what my inside information. Cora went over to these two drive-line guys, said, get the F-U-C-K out of my clubhouse and don't ever come back here again. Well, of course, the two drive-line guys go right up to Breslow, do this, and this was the tipping point. That, I've had enough of the manager interfering with our modus operation. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. This seemed to be the tipping point. This is just what I've heard, and I happen to believe it was true. But anything's possible. And I would like to bring up one thing before I forget and get into my new commercials about Cold Springs RV, which we do have some commercials. But I would say this, Bill. The one positive move that Breslow made was Rafael Devers. We have to admit that moving Rafael Devers wasn't a bad choice for the Red Sox at the time. Because
I'm not going to agree with you.
what's that?
I'm not going to agree with you. He was their hottest hitter. He was hitting very well, and at the time, and would have continued. The Devers situation was horrible because of the way that Breslow handled the Bregman hiring.
Fair enough. Fair
Wait,
enough.
wait. I want to go back because there's a precedent, and then I want you to do your spot. Okay. The precedent is that before the Yankees signed Alex Rodriguez, they spoke with Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
They explained what was going on and what they thought was best for the team. They said to him, okay, this is what we would like to do. We have this opportunity to sign A-Rod. How do you want us to handle it in terms of shortstop? And Jeter said, I don't want to move off shortstop. Can he play third base? And they handled it, and they treated Jeter with respect, and they alerted him in advance. And as a result, as tenuous as their relationship might have been, it did not affect the team. It did not put Jeter into a funk. What Breslow did was he hired Bregman and said to Devers, who is a sensitive human being, immature, yes, perhaps not gifted in many ways. This is what's going to happen. You are not a good third baseman. You are your numbers say that, and you were taking away your glove.
Okay. Now, my impression that it was Cora's responsibility to talk to Devers. Okay.
And that I agree with. And that's why I had issues with Cora as a manager. I think that Cora blew that. And I think that my bet is in the final arguments that Breslow and Cora had, when Cora said, well, why did you deal Devers? And Breslow said, well, why didn't you handle Devers? You spoke his language. We counted on you to do things like that. And with that, it's time for a break.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, you've already taken over the show, Bill. I really like that. You just haven't introduced it and you haven't closed it out yet, but you say it's time for a break. And I couldn't agree more, because buying an RV can feel overwhelming. I don't know if you've done any traveling. If you're in Sleepy Hollow, you might have done some camping out or something. You don't strike me like a camping out guy, but you might, come on, you grew up in Manhattan, you went to American University. You're not camping out, buddy. But I'm thinking maybe you ought to.
Wait, I just want to tell you, and then I want you to finish talking about my idea of roughing it is a black and white TV and a Holiday Inn. That's as rough as I get.
Okay, well, but there's a new opportunity for you, because buying an RV can feel overwhelming, pressure, fees, pushy salespeople. I don't blame you for not wanting to get into that world, but Cold Springs RV in Ware.
Where?
Do you know where New Hampshire is, Bill?
Yes.
I knew you did. You know where everything is.
Well, when I graduated from American University, I wanted to be a newscaster, and I went to every radio station in New Hampshire looking for work. And to the credit of one was near Ware, and to the credit of the people in New Hampshire, none of them hired me. Please continue.
Did you go to WGIR?
I went to every one of them.
Okay, well, it was a night quality radio station. It's all right. I worked there. If you'd have been, if you'd have talked to me, I would have got you in. It would have been okay. Shut up, Bob.
He had an Oprah, Bob. He had Oprah, New Hampshire.
Okay, right. Where New Hampshire? He knows where it is, but Mike doesn't know where. It's
I don't know where it is. I was born in Milford, New Hampshire. I don't know where New Hampshire is.
Well, it would have been kind of northwest.
Okay.
Of Milford.
Good to know.
Okay, well, it's west of Goffstown and St. Anselm's College, and it's north of Tingsboro, where my friends.
I know where that is.
What's that?
I know we used to have our preseason football camp at St. Anselm's. I know where that is.
Oh, that's good.
Brady Hall and Dominic Hall.
Was
Go
it
ahead.
Brady named after Tom Brady?
No,
No.
I think everything is named
Brady
after
before Tom Brady, and like, never. Shut up, Bob. Try to do this. No pressure. Ware, New Hampshire. No pressure. It's different at Cold Springs RV. No pressure, no gimmicks. Just open campers. You can walk through at your own pace. You can actually be in scoring position and find a place. And they're family owned. You get honest answers, real help finding the right fit for you. Cold Springs RV, where your camping journey starts the right way. And if you think that's over, Bill Chuck, you're wrong, because Mike, part of our spot here, has a couple questions for you regarding what I just talked about, Cold Springs RV and campers.
Okay, I'm ready.
It was so long ago, I can't remember what you started talking about.
You know what? I'm just trying to give our sponsors due credit, okay?
All right, here we go, Bill. So we all know John Madden didn't like to fly. They had a Madden cruiser. So
Yes.
we're going to get Cold Springs RV to make a Lobel Lynchy cruiser, and this is going to be like nothing you've ever seen before. And since we don't pay our guests when they eventually build this thing, we're going to let our guests take this Lobel Lynchy cruiser cross country for 7 days. All right. The only catch here is that you have to pick somebody to ride shotgun with you, and that could be somebody in the baseball world, political world, entertainment world, live, deceased. Who would you want to spend 7 days in an RV with driving cross country?
That's a great question, and I'm my the folks at Triumph Publishing will be very happy with my answer. But of course, I would choose my co-author to in scoring position, Bob Ryan. Thank you. And you know, I've finished most all of the manuscript for our next book, which I hope will come out in 27, which talks about Bob's games at Fenway Park, which is just wonderful. And I think I would go with Ryan. Bob and I mean, listen, I would obviously choose my wife because I'm no fool, but if it weren't my wife, I'd hang out with Bob. Although, you know, I'm very lucky. I don't know about you guys. I don't know who your baseball heroes are, but mine are people like you guys. My baseball heroes are media guys. I mean, can you imagine 7 days going across the country with somebody like Peter Gammons and Peter telling you stories? I mean, Bob always tells stories. He's just wonderful, and I wouldn't mind going with Jason Stark or Tim Kirkshin. I mean, can you imagine just listening? The bigger question is, who would want to spend 7 days in an RV with me? Honest to God, it would just drive you crazy. I mean, here I would be going on and on about this and that, and talking about old movies and talking about old rock and roll and talking about baseball. It would be enough to drive anybody crazy.
Question.
You brought up Ryan. I want to talk about the genesis of this book and why there's already a sequel. I mean, obviously, we revere Bob. I've revered him. You know, when I was in college, we had about 8 of us lived in, and we're all Boston guys: Boston Latin, Boston English, Swampscott, Watertown, BC High, and we get one Boston Globe delivered to the room, and there were 8 of us there. And whoever got the Globe first, nobody read the Metro region, nobody read the front section, nobody read the Globe. Everything was a sports page. And we had Gammons, we had Ryan, and so whoever read it first.
And Will McDonough.
And Will McDonough. And so somebody would grab, then the sport page was like 15, 16 pages long. So somebody would grab okay, I got the Celtic story by Ryan. And then I read 2 paragraphs, continued on page C10. Who's got C10? Well, I'm going in the bathroom. But I say, wait. So that's how, I mean, how much we revered guys like Ryan, and the fact that I get to work with him occasionally, and He actually worked at Channel 5 for a year when I was there before he went back to the Globe. Is just, I always say to everybody, I said, I can't believe Bob Ryan even knows my name. And, but he was something else. So I am looking forward to reading that book. But how did you come up with the idea for a book? And tell me about that first and the sequel.
Okay. Um, it's a good story, and Bob Ryan, not Bob Lobel, and I, we agree on just about everything. The origin of the story, we kind of disagree, but I know the correct origin. By the way, the other thing that we disagree on is, and we laugh about this. The other thing that we disagree on is he liked having Jackie Bradley Jr. on a team. I couldn't stand having Jackie Bradley Jr. on a team. Not that I didn't respect his fielding prowess, but there was one time that Jackie Bradley Jr. came in a player position to pitch. And that's when I felt he was the position he was best suited for, because he hit like a pitcher. Okay, let's move off of that. I'll tell you the story. It was COVID, and I got very sick. It was almost walk-offs for the little man here. But I as I recovered, I started looking at what was then called Twitter. And there's Bob, who had chosen a season, I don't even remember, or maybe chosen one of his scorebooks. And he starts tweeting about the games that are in his scorebook, as if it was real time. Because remember, there was no baseball. And I called up Bob. And the background, just so that you know, is Bob and I knew each other for quite a while, and this again is a reason why I'm so appreciative to Nick Cafardo, and I just want to mention it to the two of you as well. I would write Billy Ball back in the day, and I would send it to anybody in the media whose email that I could get. I didn't care if I was spamming people, because after a while, people didn't object. But Nick gave me the bona fides to speak to people. And the reason why I want to mention that now is that I remember the people who were always kind and respectful to me. And both of you guys were. Whenever I would see you or meet you, you always treated me with the respect that you would give to your actual colleagues and your actual peers, of which I was not. And I was always grateful to the two of you. And I remember there was a time that I was a consultant for the Brockton Rocks, a marketing consultant. And we came up with the Curt Schilling bobble ankle. Instead of a bobblehead, we had in 2005 we had a little bobblehead, but instead of Schilling's head moving, it was the ankle that would move, representing his ankle. We had a press conference at Fenway. It was a big deal because we ended up raising a lot of money for Schilling, and this was before we learned in full what such a horrible human he is. But let's put that aside. His charitable ventures have always been something we should respect and admire, and the same with his wife, who we raised quite a bit of money for as well, who worked on melanomas. But in any case, back to the story, because my middle name should be "and he digresses again." And so I call up Bob and I say, Bob, you've got all of these scorebooks, because he told me he's got piles of legitimate scorebooks. And Bob keeps score for every baseball game he ever goes to. He doesn't care if it's major leagues, minor leagues, college Olympics. Anytime he went to a ball game, he would keep score in the official scorebook. And even when he traveled for the Celtics, he would pack his scorebook if it was baseball season, because maybe on the road he would go to a baseball game. So I said to him, I think this is a great idea for a book. You pick out some great games and write a little bit about it, and I will enhance it with my down the rabbit hole stories about some of the things that happen and some of the historical precedents. And he says, yes, this is a great idea. Let's do it. Okay. So this is where Bob and I diverged slightly. I said, I got to tell you, hold back a little bit, because maybe it's not a great idea, knowing full well that, a lot of my ideas are kind of pie in the sky. And he said, no, let's do it. I said, Bob, when are you talking to Shaughnessy next? I'm talking to him later. I'm going to tell him about the book. I'm going to tell my agent. I said, before you say yes to me, all I want you to do is talk to Shaughnessy, talk to your agent to see if it's a decent idea. Because, I know me. I want to back off a little bit before I go whole hog. Well, it turns out that they both loved the idea. I said, okay, let's do it. And for about 6 months, Bob and I would spend mornings, hours, talking to each other about games, going through games. He would give me a list of games he attended. And our mutual agent found Triumph Publishing, who were great. They are great, and they helped us. They helped us with everything, and the book was nominated for a Casey Award for one of the 5 best baseball books of the year. And it's fun and it's interesting. And Bob and I got to speak at the Hall of Fame. I mean, can you imagine? I had the opportunity to speak at the Hall of Fame. Now, people know that Bob Ryan's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Well, let me tell you, as great as Bob is about basketball, he knows baseball even more. Baseball is his true love.
Yep.
And his stories are amazing. So in any case, the next book will be solely about Bob at Fenway. And it's going to be why, I actually chose to focus this along with the folks at Triumph, because the audience for Bob Ryan is New England. And the fans who are watching your show, your podcast, and listening will love this, because Bob is a big deal. And these are great games. And I do a lot of the writing in this because, time is better for me at this point to do this. And we speak about some of the names of people that only Red Sox fans might remember. And I try to go in to greater detail and remembering some of these great games. Do you guys remember Bobby Keelty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colorado. No, that World Series in 07.
Okay. Do you remember what he did in that World Series?
Yeah, he had a home run, and he had 2 home runs, right?
No, he hit 1 home run. And do you remember what the big deal was about that home run? Oh, please, can I tell you?
Yes, please do.
Okay. It was in Game 4. He hit a home run.
Yeah.
That gave the Red Sox, I think it was a 5-3 lead. I don't remember exactly. But no, it was a 4-1 lead. That's what it was. It was a 4-1. They won that game. They swept the series from Colorado. His home run proved to be the margin. Why is that home run a big deal? Bob Keelty played 599 regular season games. He played 1 World Series game. One World Series game. This was it. He saw one pitch. He hit it for a game-winning home run. Not everybody has hit a home run in their first at bat in the World Series. Even fewer in their only at bat in the World Series, in their only pitch in the World Series. And this is what made it even greater. He never played a major league game again after this.
See, this is you. This is the epitome, the antithesis of Bill Chuck. This is the stuff that you're able to do the deep dive on that is so remarkable. Like, for instance, unassisted triple plays versus hitting for the cycle. Which is more rare? Those are. I'm going to ask you that question. Which is more rare, hitting for the cycle or unassisted triple plays?
Oh, unassisted triple plays. Which is rarer, having a guy who hits into an unassisted triple play and then hits a grand slam home run later in the game.
You tell me. You're the expert.
Come on, do you remember the Red Sox batter who did that?
Would be
Well, repeat the question, Bill, please.
Okay.
who hit into an unassisted triple play?
He hit into an unassisted triple play and also hit a grand slam home run.
I keep thinking Valentine because he made the unassisted triple play.
Yeah, except that he didn't hit into it.
I got it. That's what I keep thinking. No, I don't know.
Scott Hatteberg. You guys remember Scott Hatteberg?
Billy Ball. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got it right because I knew this was coming. This is another great. From 1985 to 1925, there were 178. I know this is garbage. These are numbers, but
No,
178 grand slams hit at Fenway. Of the 178, 119 were hit by the Red Sox. Of 119 hit by the Sox, you know that 9 were hit by Ortiz and Bogarts, and Garcia hit 5 to lead the team. Hatteberg hit 2. This was his first. He then hit another one against the Yankees. And I could with Bob's games against the Yankees, I could write a whole book about games that he saw. From 178 grand slams from 85 to 25. During that time, there were 9 triple plays at Fenway Park. 3 were pulled off by the Red Sox. The other 6 were pulled by the Braves, Orioles, the Rangers twice, and the White Sox. On July 17, 1990, the Sox were the first team to hit into 2 triple plays in the same game. Each were 5-4-3s. Tom Bernansky hit into 1, and Jody Reed hit into the other. I mean, these are great Red Sox games. This is why this great book, this next book is going to be so fun, because Red Sox fans remember these.
Okay, this is what you're all about. And I'm going to just give you a quick plug on Billy Ball and where people can follow you, because if you're all interested in this kind of stuff, which I'm fascinated by, there's so much stuff I could ask you that I just don't have the time to ask you. I mean, what is the rarest thing you've ever seen in baseball? Why can't we get players like that? All the Red Sox guys that are gone. Every time I see Schwarber's name up on the board, I keep thinking, "Oh my God!" That's beside the point. No, wait, hold on a second. I'm not done yet. Really, give yourself a plug as to where all these people can find it. But before you do that, tell me the rarest thing that you've ever seen or heard about in baseball.
You know, I can't because you know how, and you said it, and Mike, I know not only have you said it today, but you said it so many times on the air. Every time you go to a baseball game, you have the chance of seeing something you've never seen before.
Like a walk-off triple.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about this game on August 16, 2011, when in the second game of a doubleheader, there's the triple play and the grand slam. You know, I was thinking about that spectacular Knicks comeback with the 29 points. I mean, that's a rare thing that happened in basketball, but you could turn into 100 basketball games and not see anything unique. And the same thing is true with 100 soccer games. In baseball, you're going to see something different. And that's why I love it. I mean, I was thinking, okay, well, first of all, this is what I talk about in my column, and it's not all Red Sox. I want to give a warning to your listeners. I try to include the Red Sox because there's, I don't know about you guys, but there's something for all of us who followed the Red Sox before, Schadenfreude. We get a little pleasure in the misery of this team. I mean, and so I look at them and I follow them. I mean, look at the game of a couple of weeks ago where the first the first 3 Red Sox batters in their first 9 plate appearances struck out 9 times. I mean, come on. I mean, that's one of the rarest things you're going to find. Bill Chuck, go to substack.com, look for Bill Chuck. My column is called Billy Ball, and it's fun. And I'll tell you what I'll do. If you email me at walkoffs@gmail.com, walkoffs, WALK, all F as in Frank, S as in superb, @gmail.com, and with the headline UnAnchoredBoston.com, on Anchored Boston, the headline Lobel, the headline Lynch, any of that, I'll give you a free month of Billy Ball. I write about 3 of them a week. It costs a little money because, after all this time, I deserve to make a little money. But I'll give you a free month. Bill Chuck, Substack, walkoffs@gmail.com. You'll get a free month, and you'll get to see this kind of stuff. I'm gonna try to. I listened to you, Lobie, talk about the fact that, did you go to high school with Dean Chance?
I
Yeah.
played against him. Well, I shouldn't. Yeah. He was a senior. I was a freshman. I saw him pitch. He pitched against me, and I just heard it. I didn't see it. I heard it.
Yeah, I want to do. There's background stories about Dean Chance. Everybody at that time when he pitched for the Angels, I remember everybody was talking about Bo Belinsky, but Dean Chance was the star of that team. I think he won. Didn't he win the Cy Young Award?
Yeah. And he was also a great high school basketball player, and he won the state championship in Ohio, which was no small feat.
Yeah, again, you wish you had
Ryan on there. Oh no, come on, it's not Harvard. I know anything not Harvard. It's like, here we go. Okay, yeah. Breslow went to Yale. I hate him. And
my dad was Billy Canigliaro's high school football and baseball coach.
See, here we go. I can top you, Bob. I can always top you, Bob.
Almost as good a football player as he was a baseball player, by the way.
Really?
Yep.
All right, listen to this. Before we go, we have 3 things in common, Bill. Both we saw Tito Francona's father play.
Yes.
I saw him. We both rode elephants in downtown Boston.
Yes.
So we both take pleasure in the misery of the Red Sox.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You were in the parade, Ringling Brothers, Brown and Bailey?
Yes, I was.
Yes, and me too.
I was.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was the same parade because they only had 1 elephant. So we were both riding the same elephant.
There was a time when I was the co-host on what was Channel 7 then, WNEV,
yep,
on a live infotainment show called Good Afternoon, New England Afternoon. And as I said, it was an infotainment show that was neither particularly informative nor entertaining, which made it unique. It was hosted by Bill O'Reilly before O'Reilly went off.
Before he was selling sleep medications.
Yes, and I was known as the czar of entertainment. I had an entertainment segment. And to publicize the arrival of the circus, they asked me to ride the elephant. And I'm not going to lie. I don't know about you, Luby. I was terrified. I was terrified. It was too high for me, and they mic'd me up through the whole thing. Through the whole thing, I sounded even more like Woody Allen than I did ordinarily. You know, I mean, I was just nervous about being up there. But and the very quick um, Tito Francona story, Tito the Elder, is, and I would love to do a book, a collection of this. I saw Tito Francona play in my very first game I ever went to see. I grew up in New York City. I went to the Yankees. I went to see the Yankees against the Indians, and there was Tito Francona playing for what was then called the team formerly known as the Indians.
Yeah.
And I told Tito the Younger about it more than once, and it was a great memory. My first game changed my life. Going to see my first game. It was a magnificent experience, and it was something. I don't. Do you guys remember the first major league game you saw?
I remember it was 1960. I was 7 years old. It was Ted Williams' last year. My dad was telling me all about Ted Williams, and I had sort of been following a little bit, so he took me to a game. The thing that I remember more than anything else is that all the games, no one had a color television because it was just black and white. So walking up the ramp behind home plate, it was like the Wizard of Oz. Remember, like it was black and white, and all of a sudden it turned green. The grass, I've never seen greener grass, the wall, everything. And, then I eventually, after my jaw dropped down around my ankles, for a while, then I realized where Ted Williams was. My attention went there, but there was so much to absorb. But the thing that hit me more than anything else is the color, because we had seen it in black and white.
That was my story as well. That was the story that when I came out on the concourse on the third deck of Yankee Stadium. And the same thing, you walk out there and it was a sea of green. And never in my life had I seen anything, never any span as expansive of green in my life. And it was the Wizard of Oz. Loby, what was your first game?
My first game, my father was a Giants fan.
My father was as well.
A New York Giants fan.
Yeah.
He took me to the Polo Grounds. And I saw a game at the Polo Grounds. I'll never forget, Whitey Lockman hit a home run. And I can remember going out to, where Dusty Rhodes dropped a dime in the phone booth in right field, that area. And I remember my father taking me over there, and these kids were standing up there. They were playing the Boston Braves, because these kids were up there yelling at one of the Braves pitchers, like these obscenities, like "you suck" or that kind of, not that, but something in the Times, and I couldn't believe it. And I just couldn't believe that this was actually happening. But I do remember going to the Polo Grounds, and I just went to this Coogan's Bluff, and I have this book called Last Call at Coogan's, which was a bar that was at the top of Coogan's Bluff, which was a raceway in New York. And the whole Polo thing, I just always felt that the Polo Grounds was the church. It was almost a church-like experience that they never should have taken it down, because it was it was a meaningful thing for me. But
I was lucky enough to go to some games at the Polo Grounds as well. That was my father's favorite ballpark. He grew up like your dad as a New York Giants fan, and but I went with him to see the Mets play, and the first my father and I adopted the Mets together as a team, because it was 1962, and he needed a team to root for. the first 24 Met games I went to, they lost, and the majority of those games were against the Giants, and I didn't realize it was because my father still knew and loved these Giants who had left in 1958, just 4 years before. He had felt abandoned. My father, I often joke, was much older than me at my birth, but he was an older man at that time. When I was born, he was 42, which is not so old today, but it was old back in those days. And his favorite ball player growing up, I would always ask him, and even on his deathbed, I asked him again, who was the greatest player you ever saw? Remember, he saw Willie Mays and he saw the Mick, and but he always insisted it was Mel Ott, which is incredible that he got to see Ott play. But so I knew a lot about the Polo Grounds, and it meant so much to me as well. But I think these stories of the first game that you saw, and like you, Mike, it was a game changer. And like you, Lobie, to see a ballpark like that, that's a gem. You know, on Father's Day, and there's a picture of it in my column, I wore a shirt in honor of my dad that commemorated the 1954 World Series, and that was the World Series that the Giants beat the Cleveland.
Cleveland, and they had that Mike Garcia and the Big Four early win, Bob Lennon,
Yes.
Mike Garcia.
And do you remember who the manager of that club was?
Jim Hegan? No, he was the catcher.
Yeah, the manager was Al Lopez.
Oh, yes.
And what was significant about Lopez being the manager is that the only 2 seasons that the Yankees lost the pennant in the 1950s was 54 and 59. And in 59, Lopez was the manager of the White Sox that beat the Yankees. And he lost in the series to the Dodgers in their first series at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, where Larry Sherry was the most valuable player, a relief pitcher.
Bill, you can't just go on forever.
Wait, let me finish about 54 though, because it goes back to your Dusty Rhodes. Do you know the great moment that everybody remembers about the 54 World Series was the catch, the most famous catch in the history of baseball, the Willie Mays catch. But that only enabled the game to stay tied. That game ended on the most forgotten walk-off home run in World Series history, that in extra innings, Dusty Rhodes hit a walk-off home run to win it for the Giants.
You know what? I could talk to you forever. I could ask you about Ebba St. Clair. Do you remember Ebba St. Clair, who was the catcher for the Giants?
No, I remember Wes Westrom was.
Oh, yeah, Wes Westrom. But I got you on that one. I finally got you on something. Ebba St. Clair. All right, I'll let it go at that.
Let me get one more spot in here before we say goodbye.
If
you need a car, by the way, Bill, we get the place for you. If you're thinking about a new vehicle, go with Lobel and Lynch.
He lives in Sleepy Hollow and he rides a horse. He doesn't need a car.
Go see our good friend George Gray at George Gray's Lexington Toyota. We've been customers for years because we know that George Gray and his entire team and family will treat you right. They're a family-owned and operated dealership that we trust and you can trust as well. Go see the great George Gray, the big wheel we call him, at George Gray's Lexington Toyota, 409 Mass Ave in Lexington. We're coming up on the 250th anniversary of this country, and I think George Gray has been selling cars since the Battle of Lexington and Concord. So if you need a car, Bill, you make it back this way, go see George. He'll take good care of you.
Bill, you're unbelievable, and I could talk to you for hours about this.
That is what separates baseball from every other sport. Because if we were talking basketball, we would have run out of things to talk about by now. But baseball,
we would have run about
on and on.
Right.
Well, thank you guys again for all the kindness you've shown me. Thank you for inviting me on. I hope that I didn't overstay my welcome or talk too much. I hope you'll have me back again.
Yes.
I'm. It's as I said. It's been a thrill to know each of you guys and work with each of you guys. By the way, Lynchy, I'll make sure you get a subscription as well.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait, I've tried to become a Substack. I've tried to become a subscriber twice, and of course, at my particular age, dealing with all the stuff that I have to deal with on the internet and social media, I can't get on.
This is the honest to goodness truth. I gave him a subscription to Billy Ball, and it's probably in your it's in your spam folder. But I'll help you both through it again. And the fact is, and remember Substack, and remember I'm giving a free month away. Walkoffs@gmail.com. And you'll have a good time, and you'll probably hate a lot of the things. By the way, every Sunday I have a baseball-related Wordle for those of you who do the Wordle in the New York Times.
You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You're
That's Lobel's favorite word, by the way, Bill. Free. Free.
Well, look, if you're gonna, you know what? I'm not interested in a month. I'm talking about a lifetime thing, which may be a month. It may be a month. It may be a month.
Honest to God, I quote Lobe enough in this because, again, going back to the Schadenfreude moments of saying, if any former Red Sox do well, it's, why can't the Red Sox get a guy like this?
My favorite thing. That's still going to be on my gravestone, other than he meant well. Bill, you were great. Thank you so much.
Bill, thanks so much. It was awesome. Guys. Definitely will do it again. Bill Chuck has been our guest, everyone. Don't forget to follow us at UnAnchoredBoston.com, and you can always find us on YouTube. We're everywhere. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.